Here with Washington State women's basketball head coach Kamie Ethridge. Coach, your team picks up a 77-57 win over Montana to beat the Grizz for the first time since December 21st, 1988. Just opening comments on the win over the Grizz, and we'll open the floor for questions.
Right. None of our players were alive, I think. So, yeah.
Your SID was only like 3 months old.
You know, first I thought Brian had his team so prepared and really gave us some trouble guarding them. So they kind of took it to us, and I really liked the fact that we came out well and scored the ball well and attacked the rim and had a post presence. And, I mean, we were scoring the ball at a better pace, obviously, than the last game we played. That was an emphasis for us. We just couldn't stop them. And they clearly exposed, some problems with our switching defense and some guarding the three-point line. So I love the fact that we hung in there and tried to figure it out in the first half and then regrouped a little bit at halftime and had a better plan. And we just defensive pressure really made the difference, I think, in their execution. It disrupted their timing. And that's a lot of different players came in and made an impact there. So, again, a different way for us to succeed and have some success that we may not have had in the past. So I think that's a real encouragement for us.
Alex Crescenti, KXOY TV. Coach, you've been, coming off of now 3 good solid starts here to, back-to-back seasons, and every season is a little bit different. But now that the team's been through this sustained success, do you see a lot more comfort in them, in their just approach to the game?
Well, I mean, we should be, right? We should be in year 3. I said this a lot, when people were asking about this year's team. I mean, these kids were literally freshmen and sophomores in their COVID year, and they were in the NCAA tournament, and we lost. We didn't lose anybody. Everybody was back. And then last year we lost 1 player. So this is year 3 of those players that had played a ton of minutes and have experienced a lot of this. I think we're better in our system. I think we've added a few weapons that we haven't had. Maybe a little bit more physical than we've been, maybe a little bit more power-oriented that we haven't been. We were real finesse, I think, in the past. I hope depth will be a bigger asset for us as we go forward. So I think we're just built a little bit better. And within that, yes, absolutely. They're tougher. They're better competitors. They handle adversity better. They know our system better. I mean, all of that should be happening for us. Our chemistry, I think, is in a good spot, and they're hungry to keep getting better. So I just like the fact that we lost a huge competitor in Crystal Ledger-Walker, but we've gained some kids that bring a little bit different dimension to us, and I think ultimately it might make us better.
Andrew Quinn, Creme TV in Spokane. Coach, in that 12-0 run at the end of the third quarter, just asked Charlize about it. Getting her the ball, even though she'd missed a couple, she was able to knock down those 2 huge threes for you guys. Just talk about her confidence in taking those shots, and how were you able to get her in maybe a better spot during that run than you were maybe previously?
Well, we're not that smart as coaches. She's got to find her own spots on the floor, and she has a lot of freedom to do that. I thought it was very interesting. I could hear Brian tell his team to go under on everybody except Yo on ball screens. And that's how people guarded Charlize last year. And, again, her numbers haven't been just off the charts this year, better than they were a year ago from 3. We've all watched her get better. We've seen her in the gym. We've seen her for now 5 or 6 months shoot the ball better, and we believe that she's a way better shooter from 3 than she was a year ago. So, I think this year she's had a little bit start and stop with going home, and then had a little thing on her foot that missed a few practices, and that was recent. So I think when she gets in her structured shooting and extra shooting, she's going to end up being a tremendous three-point shooter. So if you challenge her and go under ball screens, I think she's going to get herself into good spots and have a night like this where she's 6 of 12 from 3, and so it's good. It's good to have that kind of talent and that kind of IQ. And yeah, I think she's very confident in her shooting ability and her decision making and her playmaking ability, and we certainly want the ball in her hands a lot.
And Charlize touched on the defense to offense that really got that run going. Obviously, Grace just was tremendous during that stretch. What did you see from her specifically defensively? Was it technique, or how was she just able to get in those passing lanes?
Yeah, Grace is probably our quickest, other than Kaya, who comes off the bench for us some. But Grace has some speed dimension to us. She's willing to give that kind of effort. She's plus 17 on the night in 18 minutes, so she really affected the game. She's going to do whatever the team needs, and tonight was, picking up full court and speeding them up a little bit and not letting them quite have the rhythm that they had, and they kind of picked us apart in the first half, and I thought Grace and AT in particular, those two players, their pressure on the ball handlers coming up the court really changed the course of the game. And proud of her, because she never knows if she's going to play and how much she's going to play, but she comes ready and is mature and is a great teammate and wants to win. Will do whatever it takes to win.
And then maybe not an ideal game from Yo through 3 quarters, but in the fourth quarter she was really able to put that game away from beyond the 3-point arc. Can you just talk about how she was able to, maybe it wasn't her best game for 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter she was really able to hone it in?
Yeah, I think Yo's in a really tough spot because it's hard for her to practice on a day-to-day basis. We have to pick and choose those moments, and practice does probably prepare you a little bit better, get you in a rhythm. You kind of have a better rhythm for your shoot, especially for a shooter. So we have to manage that for her. I thought she was just a little bit out of rhythm. She got some decent looks, but we trust her and believe in her shooting, and we know that her being such a weapon there. Really, people have to guard that, and that opens up other things. So sometimes, whether she's making them or not, it still affects and helps our team, having her on the floor. I think her defense has been better this year than it's ever been. Again, she's another player that had her numbers are pretty good, and had 5 steals for the night. So, I wish we could get her a little bit more healthy and feeling better. But gosh, she's a threat anytime she has the ball, and we want her to take every open 3 she gets.
Trevor Williams with WSU tonight. Coach, when you look at your team's ability to make adjustments the last 2 games on the fly, in game, I imagine that's kind of reassuring as a coach when your team's able to take what you guys are telling them in the huddle, in the locker room, and put that into place as they did against both South Dakota State and Montana defensively tonight. Yeah,
someone complimented us out there, and my associate head coach said, now if we were only good enough to start the game well or figure it out before we start. So we're a good second half coaching team and a terrible first half coaching team maybe right now. But again, I think that speaks to our players and versatility on our team. Again, built a little bit different. The challenge for Bella, for us, is can she guard 5 positions? And she's being stretched this year to have to do that a little bit better. Takes a lot of discipline. That's she can't get herself out of position. So I think we're really stretching our players to do that. I think South Dakota State proved that our guards can play post defense, which makes us be able to switch and create some mismatches. And I thought that helped us tonight. That our bigs guarded their littles and our littles guarded their bigs, and then all of a sudden they couldn't get the easy touches that they were getting in the easy open 3. So I think that's huge for us. To have that kind of versatility on our defensive end, and the fact that we can have different schemes. If this isn't working, we can switch to something else. So again, full court pressure tonight. Haven't really done that, and I think that changed the game but again, we have the personnel and some depth to be able to do that.
And with Bella specifically, it seems like kind of a big step forward this year in the defensive awareness to stay out of foul trouble. She's done a good job of that, at least when we've seen her at home this year, and I imagine that helps to keep her on the floor.
Yeah. She ought to be happy. 31 minutes tonight. She's always wanting to be out there. I think every game's different. Charlize hadn't been in foul trouble, and she started the season in super foul trouble. So I don't think we're ever over that hump, and we'll have to be smart on that. I do think our players have learned, and I think the referees are so much more aware of driving and people jumping into players and getting foul calls and the verticality, and I think we've done a way better job of not fouling those hard twos. And I think Bella's really is figuring out that a little bit too. But again, I'm not going to overstep our IQ and smartness. I think we've still got a long ways to go.
Hey, Coach, Stephen Wiebe with the Lewiston Tribune. Looking at Montana a little bit, their best player tonight was Carmen, who's from nearby Colfax. Obviously, you guys did, I think, a better job on her in the second half. But what does she kind of bring for them and maybe do well for those guys? Just
phenomenal. I mean, gosh, she was 4-4 from 3, I think, in the first half, and finishes 5 of 6. Only played Wichita State, so we really didn't have a lot on her. Knew her numbers from a year ago. She's going to be one of the best players in the Big Sky, and really created some problems for us. Again, did most of her damage in the first half, but the fact that we can put a lot of different people on her, I think, kind of wore her down. But 17 points, very effective. Her shooting was phenomenal. I think she's going to be one of the best players. And I thought Keeley had a great game too. So those two players, their posts they scored all the threes in the first half. So, they really surprised us a little bit in their execution of what they were doing. And I think that helps us get better as a defensive team.
And then we talked about, kind of the defense on that run you guys had. But Charlize, with those back-to-back threes, kind of kickstarts that. I mean, what does that do for a team with those big shots getting that big run going?
I just loved their answers when they spoke. I mean, the defensive pressure really took them out of rhythm, and we translated those into an aggressive attack at the rim. And some of our best offense is when we're not running set plays. It's just allowing different players on the post. Those players are sometimes better or worse passers out of the post, and they can find shooters on the perimeter. I thought Tara did a great job of running first post down a few times. That gives us a different dimension. I thought Bella found a few in and outs. I mean, I do think the defensive pressure really helped us get steals and runouts and kind of that early offense where we can be effective. And I think for us to score more points as we go, that's where we need to pick up easy baskets for ourselves. Charlize is one of the best at that in doing that.
Luke Kilgore with KUGR Radio. Great game, Coach. I can't let a single press conference go without an AT question, it feels like. Estera tonight, despite possibly being the smallest player on the floor, 7 rebounds for her to go along with 8 points. It seems like almost every game, too, she helps over into the post and gets a steal out of that. What about her defensive presence and what about her game allows her to get 7 rebounds at that position?
Again, I love I think there's just some feel players and feel guards that just have a nose for the ball. I mean, it's not like she's getting 7 offensive rebounds, right? Are they all defensive? One was offensive. But I think that everybody should be involved in defensive rebounding. But she really does. She's got a feel for it. She's looking for ways to get it. She picks up tip balls. She puts her little nose in scrums and comes out with it or tips it to somebody else. She probably creates some other rebounds for other people as well. Again, she is a heady, good feel player. And some of the things she does is so different than anyone else. That being one of them, her ability to penetrate and completely be off balance and get passes out to people without turning it over is another one that we don't have in our gym that's very special, that's what she does. You saw her make 2 threes tonight. She can make threes. She's got the shooting stroke. She's got floaters. I mean, she's just a real talent. And she's, again, I keep saying it, she's played against older players her whole life. Older players tend to have the little tricks and teach you how to play a little bit differently. And she's already learned that, and she's a freshman for us. So she's big time. She's big time on both sides of the ball. The kids, the team loves her. They love her to death. And again, I want to pull her blue hair out sometimes when she's a little bit too chill for me. But she shows up, and she's so good as a playmaker. And I'm just thrilled for her, how she's playing right now, but her future for us.
Last couple of questions.
And you briefly mentioned her, but Keely Burton Oliver, a transfer out of WSU, kind of torched you guys in the first half, 13 points, but then completely shut her down the second half. What was it like seeing her again? And what kind of halftime adjustments prevented her and G. Feller from capitalizing in the second half? I think between the both of them, only 4 points in the second.
Yeah, I mean, Keely's everything we thought she would be. She's a unique player. Her size and her shooting ability, gosh, we've known she could shoot forever. We've been watching her forever. Happy for her. I think Brian's done a great job with her. I think it looks like that entire team and program is certainly on the rise, and they're going to be great. I think they're going to have a lot of success in their conference. So really happy for her. We just felt like we could match up with them whether we switched or not. So if our guards got hit it all on screens, we were just okay to switch them and manage that. Our posts could guard their guards enough. And again, I think our defensive pressure before they got over half court changed where they set screens and where they ran their offense from. And I think when that got a little bit distorted, their rhythm got distorted. So pressure, people do it to us. Defensive pressure can crush you, and I just think our defensive pressure kind of put them in hard spots in the second half.
Sam Taylor, Daily Evergreen. Congrats on the win, Coach.
Thanks.
This is kind of the question about the flow of the season. You had recently a trip to Hawaii, or unfortunately had your first loss, but also a bounce-back game. You come back, have 2 strong games at home. I guess what kind of lessons do you learn from those early season trips, and how does that show up on the court tonight?
I have made BYU a verb. I have told them that I don't want to be BYU'd again. I think they really that was and they'll get sick of me saying it because ever since then we've come back and we've prepared better. We've practiced, at a really, really high level consistently. I think losses do that. You have their attention. We watch film a lot more closely after a loss. I mean, we do a little bit on the wins, but you're so quick to move on to the next scout that sometimes you don't do it as much with the win. So we just have to keep our same focus of getting better and what we're trying to accomplish. And, our schedule's set up. Portland plays a lot of zones, so now we have to really be ready for a team that's way zone-oriented, and that's something that not everybody is. So, there's just a million ways we need to get better, and we need to keep growing as a team. So I think the big thing is just yes, we focus on the other team that we're going to play, but it's really so much about what our standard is and how we know we have to prepare and practice and put everybody in good spots on the floor. And we're still a little clumsy, we're still not quite in the right spots and flow from early offense into offense very well. So I think there's a lot we can grow from. And, the point is we got to keep finding ways to put points on the board.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win. We'll talk to you next week.
Loved our fans. I thought we had a great crowd. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Go Cougs.